That's Jerry Green, Black Student Advocate, here with Kim Harmon. Kim, let's talk about your organization and what you guys do there in the Miami area or anywhere else in the country.
Well, first of all, thank you, Jerry, for letting me have this opportunity. When I get a chance to spread our message, I'm always grateful and very humbled by it. Our organization is called Read to Achieve Incorporated, and it is what it says. Our main message is to get out the importance of early intervention in reading. Right now, there is a heavy emphasis, as it should be, on children who are falling behind and they're in middle school and high school and they're not where they should be in terms of reading. So there are a lot of things that we need to do to help get them back on track as much as we can. But really, the key and our main message at Read to Achieve is to set the foundation. And what a lot of people don't realize, and let me backtrack a little and give you a little of my history. My background is in education, sociology, and criminal justice. And unfortunately, all three of those things are kind of intertwining nowadays in our community. So what we do is focus on the importance of early intervention. What a lot of people don't know is that when you were in first and second grade, primary grades, and even third grade, what you're doing is learning how to read. Once you hit third grade, there's a paradigm shift. There's a shift in the way that you are taught, and there's a shift in the way that you're learning. It then switches from learning to read to reading to learn. Let that sit for a minute. So now, and I've spent time as a third grade teacher, as well as a first grade teacher. In third grade, I'm not teaching you how to read anymore. In third grade, I'm saying to you, go look up that article, read it, and then we're going to come back and have a discussion. But what if you don't know how to read? Or if you're not reading at that level to comprehend the article or whatever I'm assigning you to read? Well, we know what happens. The children a lot of time act out. They might get bullied. They might get classified as special education. So our goal is to emphasize the importance of getting that, as soon as we see a problem, taking action. I always use the analogy. If you were sitting somewhere and you saw a little spark in the trash can next to you at your desk, would you wait until the trash can was fully engulfed in flames before you tried to put the fire out? Or would you act as soon as you saw that there was an issue? That's what we have to start doing with our children. When they are entering school at first grade, the minute that we see there is a problem, we have to start taking action. If we do that, then we will be able to prevent a lot of the issues that we see later on in these children's educational life. Issues like bullying, self-esteem issues, teen pregnancy. All these things happen because the children are frustrated. They know they don't know. They don't know what to do. No one seems to be helping them, or we try, but studies after study after study has shown that if we don't intervene by third grade, wherever they are, that gap just gets bigger. And those children, a lot of them end up dropping out. One study I just read last week was so interesting. It was a case study, so they studied all across. If you look at the United States in 2017, 75% of the inmates nationwide, male and female, were considered low literate, meaning they were reading well below their grade level. 75%, that's 2/3 of the inmates. Now let's just think, oh, and by the way, federal prison, it was 59%. So let's just think if we could have caught some of those children when they were children in first and second grade, just learning how to read and getting them on level, the whole trajectory of their lives might have changed. They wouldn't be in prison, I guarantee it. And one thing that's interesting, when you look across the states in the country, a lot of municipalities, what they are doing is they are actually using third grade reading scores as one of the indicators as to whether or not they're going to build more schools or more prisons. So again, this signifies the importance of early intervention. Now, with Read to Achieve, we're about the whole child, but you have to have it's like a house, you have to have a solid foundation. So one of the things I always tell my parents, when I'm working with teachers, well, parents especially, I hear a lot when they say, "Oh, he could do it, he's just lazy." That's not true. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, I'd be a rich woman living on a private island right now. It's just not true. They want to succeed. They want to do. None of us wants to fail at anything. It's just
Right.
human,
Right.
but they don't have the tools. So that's where we have to come in. So that's pretty much what our organization is about, providing parents and teachers resources, trainings, things like that they can use with their readers that are struggling.
You know, I've been in many different lanes. I'm a business consultant, publisher, Black Business Directory, Black Business Expos. And after the situation in Ferguson, I started doing public safety job fairs, trying to get more people of color in law enforcement. So I work with departments from Sacramento, Stockton, and also San Jose down to San Diego County.
Uh-huh.
Also, so now in California, we're 18 to 29,000 officers short in law enforcement. Okay. But with that also, one of my advertisers is Riverside County Sheriff, and they have 2 brand new jails that are empty. So I started getting calls because of work I do in the community saying, "Jerry, they're trying to kick my baby out of school. I need help, help, help." And I said, "Hey, I need to start a whole new business model, separate from my Black business stuff, because when I go in, I can't say Black business. I did initially, but I changed up. Now it's the Black Student Advocate." And just what you're talking about is that's why I got involved. So one of our objectives is to stop what I call the pregnancy to prison pipeline, because we're going back as far as to say the mother needs the proper nutrition to make sure the baby has a better chance just as a toddler starting out. Yeah. So I understand, exactly what you're saying. So right now, are you only in Miami County, Miami-Dade, or whatever, Miami, or you're more regional?
Yeah.
Or you're national?
Yeah, what happened, I used to be an adjunct professor, and I trained teachers in an early intervention program. And then unfortunately, I changed my mind thinking to actually, fortunately, I hurt my back and became disabled, so I had to stop. So that's why we founded this organization, because I still have too much to say, too much to give to the districts. When I talk to like superintendents and all that to convince them, because money always comes up on budgets and all of that, I still have to get that out. So we are not limited to just this area. We will go and speak wherever we need to, deliver a message wherever we need to. We have resources. My tech person right now is working on getting some resources available that parents can download and actually use with their children. Because one thing that I've noticed, and you said a very important thing about nutrition, when I taught first grade, and I taught first grade for many, many years, I could tell just by looking at a child who had fetal alcohol syndrome, who was born with that, who had different issues, who was born addicted. It definitely manifests itself, and it definitely is a hindrance to their learning. However, those same children, we are able to reach. And that's the thing, we have to change our mindset. Just like when I initially had to stop doing what I loved doing, my thing was, woe is me. But then I changed it to, no, this is just going to give me a bigger platform, because we have this thing called the internet, and we have this thing like what you and I are doing right now. So I'm by no means, and our organization is by no means limited to just here. We are going to take it worldwide, but especially in the United States. there are things that we as a community, we need to be doing as parents. I am a parent myself, so I speak not only as an educator, but as a parent. There are things that we need to be doing to help our children and to raise our children. My school was a Title I inner city school. The entire school got free breakfast and lunch, the entire school. So that kind of tells you the demographic. I taught children where English was not their native language. And I also taught children where English was their native language, but it wasn't spoken properly. So it was so interesting to me that they had some of the same issues when we worked with them. The way that you and I, Jerry and Kim, learn is different. So when you have a child who's a struggling reader, you have to find, you can't use the one size fits all model. That's number one. We have to find out where the disconnect is in that individual child's brain and teach from there. There's a quote that I always fall back on, and it's from a lady named Mari Clay, and she says, we haven't have a child who has difficulty with reading and writing, because they are reciprocal. We always say reading, but we leave out the writing. If they know the word by sight, they should be able to read it, write it too. But if they have difficulty with reading and writing, it's not the child's fault. It's because we haven't found the right way to teach them yet. So it's a matter of us doing what we have to do to reach that child. Because as I said at the beginning, it's not that they're lazy or that they just choose not to remember. There's something there, but we can reach them. And we have been extremely successful as a reading interventionist, taking children who otherwise would have been classified as special ed and brought them up at least to the average of the class. My goal is to always shoot for honor roll. So that way, if they don't make it, if they come down here, that's okay. You know, they're still at the average, but they would have otherwise been classified. So we are by no means limited. The internet is a beautiful thing, so we can reach and get the message out. We're actually developing a few items that we want to use. So the main thing I would say, if I would have to give like advice or anything to parents, or not even parents, anyone who has a child, anybody who is listening to me right now.
Let's say a taxpayer, because that's their investment. Let's say a taxpayer.
Every taxpayer, if you want to sit, because to educate a child, special ed is a lot more expensive than to educate a regular ed child. So if you want to do something, what you need to do first and foremost is believe that all children can be taught and that they can learn. I used to have a sign, a big banner, as soon as you walked in my room, that said, we will all succeed. We will all succeed. And it's like the Bible teaches, as a man thinketh, so is he. So you walked into that room and you know you were going to be in a room where you came out at the end. You were going to be a critical thinker, a problem solver, and you were going to have a joy and love of reading. And I'm speaking a lot about test scores only because I have experience in that too, because I used to be a standardized test preparer and scorer for a major testing company that provides those high stakes standardized tests that we all have to take, and those scores that I mentioned before that districts and municipalities are looking at. One thing that I've learned about them is every state has its own set of rules for what the proper score on is. So they're not standardized, in other words. An acceptable score in one state is not necessarily in another state. But the good thing about my experience working there is learning what they're looking for. So that I use to help my teachers, and when they're working with students. And it's a shame because you're taking the joy out of teaching and the experience for the children because everything is so focused on testing. But unfortunately, until we can get this early intervention underground and we can convince these districts that this is what we need to do in order to prevent having to have these children labeled as special ed and having all these different programs to help, you know, our quote unquote troubled youth. and to prevent the bullying and all the other things that arouse from the students not being able to read. We have to get this early intervention under control. So that's the main message that we really want to put out there. And you are right that nutrition is so important, because as soon as you said it, I remember specifically one child specifically when he came into my classroom, and actually his family was homeless too. And I lived in an area that was a seasonal community, meaning during the summer and spring months, people would come there to vacation. So I would lose children. I wouldn't see them for a few weeks, or they'd move out of the hotel and into a shelter. And, you know, when a child, especially a 6-year-old, is living with that, when they come to school, how receptive are they going to be to learning?
Correct.
So again, your mindset, and this is where my sociology background comes into play, becomes so important for not only you, the teacher, but the students themselves. Once they believe that they can do it, then the sky's the limit. It's the most beautiful thing in the world to see them light up and take off. And even with teachers, because these are students that on paper, if you look at them, it looks like they can't tell a letter from a number. Your name is Jerry. Okay, just look at your name. You have an E in your name. But your E, because that R comes after it, is not pronounced like the typical E sound that children are taught, correct?
Right.
But you have a Y at the end of your name that sounds like a long E. So if I'm a struggling reader, I'm already confused, and my name is Jerry, I'm having trouble figuring out, well, how is this letter E supposed to sound? And how is this Y supposed to sound? And can I even write it? You know, so it's things like that that we have to get into their brain. It's so, I can go on and on about brain research because it's just so fascinating, like just those little intricacies that we don't think of, but we have to when we're dealing with struggling readers. And they're our most fragile readers. So we need to have our best teachers with them. And excuse me for my phone going off because people are texting me now. But it's important. And so if we can do that now when they're young, when they get to be in middle school and high school, we won't see many of the problems as we see now. And we can stop being reactive and start being proactive.
So what does first of all, let's give website and phone number in case someone wants to contact you. Let's go ahead and do that now.
Okay. Website, I'm getting something fixed on that because I had an issue with it. So I'll give you my number. I just changed.
Okay.
Hold on. Just changed my number. Okay. So you can reach us by phone at, where do we have? 786 377 4210. And I'll repeat. That's area code 786 377 4210. Or you can just shoot me an email. It's read, this is all one word, no spaces, no punctuation. Read, R-E-D, the number 2, and then the word achieve, A-C-H-I-E, V like Victor, E, Inc., I-N-C. So it's read to achieve, Inc. at gmail.com.
So what does your ideal client look like? Is that going to be a school or individual, a church? Who's your actual target market, and how do you go after your participants?
Target market would be anyone who has a child that is struggling with beginning reading, specifically right now, beginning reading. We will, as we grow, because we're a newly founded organization, as we grow, hit those middle and high school. But right now, anyone with a beginning reader, because we want to get them done by 3rd grade. If you have someone who's over 3rd grade, still call me. I still have stuff for you. But Homeschoolers, school districts. I've spoken to superintendents, and I put on professional development workshops for teachers to train teachers. Uh, so the target audience really is anybody who has an issue with struggling readers and wants to work on a system to get their child or children or school or grade one reading level by third grade. So parent can reach out. We have something for individual parents. Teachers can reach out. School districts, principals, superintendents can reach out. We can do professional development workshops for the teachers. We also have parent workshops. We have materials that parents can use, as I said before, and that's what we're working on the website now to get that so they can download that. And tutorials that will also be online. So those are a few tech things that we're working on to get that narrowed down. And then I can give you the actual site, because right now it's not live, it's still under construction because they have to fix those things.
Okay. The other question would be, so if a parent thinks their kid has special needs or circumstances, do you go in as a consultant also for an IEP and say, hey, you know something? Yes, little Jerry does need these services. School district, you need to provide them. Do you take on that role also?
That would be more extensive because we have to observe the child. It's not
okay.
It's not I can sit with the child for one time or observe the child one time. What you're looking for when you're looking to try to find, is there truly a learning disability, or is there just simply a matter of they need some help in a specific area? We're looking for patterns in behavior when they're reading. So that's in fact what we do. We observe the child reading, writing in different situations, in different scenarios, noting their behaviors, what they're doing, what they're not doing. When they get to the point of error, you know, are they skipping words? Are they omitting words? Are they using the incorrect syntax? Those types of things. So that requires observation, which can be done, but that's a little more intensive.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. So then, how does your day look every day? What's your day that you wake up, you check emails and everything, and how do you proceed or go after clients or figure who's your target market? You get emails through a database that you hear at conferences and things like that. How do you actually go out?
Yes, so far, like I said, so far it's been pretty easy. People are coming to us, churches, churches, emails, homeschoolers especially need that extra help. So it's a matter of just going and, well, here locally it's easy, just go and provide a workshop, but online is something that can definitely be done. When it comes to working with the children one-on-one, of course, that's more intensive. But the typical day would be just that, responding to the emails, setting up calls, setting up webinars or tutorials online, talking about the child. We do a lot of talking before we even, because I need to know as much as I can about the child, and not just me. We have a few people that are helping with this effort. So it's fulfilling because we get as much information about the child or the district where, you know, when dealing with districts, it's where they're low on scores, you know, what particular area, and then how to go about helping and how to assist the teachers, or if they don't want to do necessarily a professional development workshop, just resources, materials that we can steer them to help them help themselves.
So then with the professional development, are you touching on any of the cultural competency with the teachers when you go in with your professional development, or you're just saying what you know from your professional background right now?
we try to find out as much as possible about the school, the district, what their needs are, and combine that with what we have, because it takes a team, it takes a village. We need to, what might work here might not work somewhere else. So we need to know what's the demographic like, what are the issues that you're seeing, and then we go from there. This is something that can be catered, which is why it's so effective, because it is catered, because just like no two children are the same, no two districts are exactly the same.
Correct. So we're going to be wrapping up the video shortly. So would you give your phone number again, please?
Yes, it's area code 786-377-4210. And then the email is achieve, ACHIEVE, INC, no spaces, no punctuation, @gmail.com.
Okay. And is there anything for anyone who might see the video you want to leave with them as you wrap up?
Yeah, if you are interested, if you're right now a parent and you have a struggling reader, a struggling beginning reader, and you would like some tips, we have a series on what you can do, but I'd like to offer you, just for listening to the show for free, just a simple guide, a little guide sheet that you can use. It's not a sheet, but it's several strategies that you can use to help your struggling reader. And I will offer that for free if you email me your name, first name, last name, and tell me a little bit about your child, what issues you're seeing, and then or what you're noticing. And then I will make sure that I get that to you for free. And that is something that is normally for sale, but I'm just appreciative for the opportunity, because our organization is a new organization, and we want to spread the word however we can. It needs to be spread. People need to take action. We have to realize the significance. We have to start being proactive and stop being reactive. So if you would do that, I would be more than happy to make sure that guide gets to you. And we have other things that you may or may not, I'm sure you will once you see them, want to get with your child and get with us, and we can help you. And I'm excited to do that for you.
Again, this is Jerry O'Green, the Black Student Advocate.